couple weeks ago, Godzilla vs. Kong was released both into theaters and onto HBO Max, so today it's time to rank all 4 MonsterVerse movies from the worst to the best. But I'm also going to be joined by Action Pack Studios 79.
Hey guys, my name is Jaden and I'm running the channel Action Pack Studios 79. Gabriel, thank you so much for having me on your channel. I've been on like a bajillion collabs, so I apologize for this video being a little bit late. You clowns read the title. We're going to be ranking every MonsterVerse movie from the worst to the best. Well, from the least best to the best because I think all of these movies are great. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with the self-promo. You guys know the deal, channel in the description. Please subscribe. I make really good content. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. You can subscribe if you want to. If you don't, it's alright. It's fine. I'll just stay on the side of the road in my cardboard box with my 7 kids and child support that I need to pay. I don't need any money.
But yeah, please go subscribe to Action Pack Studios 79 and let's get into the video.
Coming in 4th place and last place for me is going to be Godzilla, King of the Monsters, unfortunately. Now, I really do enjoy this film. I feel like the filmmakers decided to listen to the audience a bit more, and I feel like in this case, it didn't really work for them. People got butthurt because in Godzilla 2014, we barely got to see any of Godzilla, and while that could be a negative to some people, to me, it wasn't really. So they decided to make this film jam-packed with Godzilla. Not a really good idea. A monster movie is awesome. You want to have a really good monster movie, but then you also want to try to have other storytelling aspects in there, because a giant 300-foot lizard isn't going to progress a story any further at all. It's obviously going to come off as very generic and very cheesy, and I guess that's what knocks this film down for me, is because it's cheesy. And I know all of you Godzilla stans are going to be like, oh, it's Godzilla, it's supposed to be cheesy. Oh, shut up, it's my opinion, okay? I still love this film. The visuals are probably the most beautiful visuals I've ever seen in a film. That and 2001: A Space Odyssey, both just incredible visuals, and every time I watch it, it still just blows me away. And like I said in my own review, if you saw this film once and you were really disappointed, give it a rewatch, because I saw it once when I was really hyped for it and I was really disappointed, but I saw it on rewatch and I had a blast with it because my dreams were already crushed and they couldn't get any more crushed than what they already were.
My number 4 is going to Godzilla 2014. Godzilla 2014 is the first film in the MonsterVerse, and it is the darkest film in the MonsterVerse. Sometimes so dark that I actually couldn't see what was happening on screen, because the camera lens was so dark that I couldn't even see some of the stuff happening in the action sequences. Like, a lot of the time, I couldn't even see Godzilla. For the time that he's actually in the movie, I could barely even see him. For a lot of people, their biggest complaint is about how Godzilla is only in the film for like 5 minutes, and he's only in it for 2% of the movie. And the posters and trailers and the title of the film are just misleading, because for a film called Godzilla, only having a little bit of Godzilla is not going to be pleasing for the fans. And it sure wasn't pleasing for me. This film is just Jurassic Park without the dinosaurs, but not even a fraction of how great that movie is. Some people also think that Bryan Cranston gave a mediocre performance in this film. I actually thought his performance was really good. I just don't think they should have killed off his character before the last act of the movie, because he was the most interesting character in this movie, and probably the most interesting character in this entire world of the monsters, the MonsterVerse. Bryan Cranston also could be emotional if he needed to be, so I just think that his performance was pretty good and a very mixed film for me. The action was pretty great, and the cherry on top of all of it was the special effects. All of the MonsterVerse movies just have amazing special effects and cinematography, and trust me, this will not be the last time you hear me saying that in this video. Certain scenes make me want to give this a higher rating, but the film as a whole would just get like a 6.5 out of 10. I wish I could give it a higher score, but I just can't. It was a pretty enjoyable film, but one I'm not going to want to come back to anytime soon.
Alright, coming in 3rd place is going to be Kong Skull Island. I really like Kong Skull Island. I think it's a blast. I think it's the best made MonsterVerse film, this and my obvious number 1 pick. I think they're both the best made MonsterVerse films because they feel the most realistic out of all of them. The other ones I feel like have a sense of cheesiness to them, but with this one I feel like it felt very real. And that's weird when you're watching a movie about a giant 100-foot monkey running around punching freaking, I don't know, skeleton lizards. But they made the movie feel very realistic and something that if if we could say that there was a Skull Island on planet Earth, is that this is exactly what it would be like. And I feel like the other versions of Skull Island that we've seen on the big screen have always felt a little bit cartoony. But the other ones, I mean, you got dinosaurs running around on the planet and just stuff like that that just makes it feel weird to me. But with this one, you have real, like, they talk about how the area and the island made them grow bigger, and obviously that's going to be very realistic for something, because there aren't a lot of, like, dinosaur-looking creatures besides those birds and the skull crawlers, obviously. But there are actual, like, other animals that look like regular animals that just got mutated because of living in that area. Obviously talking about Kong, talking about that antelope bison thing. I don't know what they're called. A gnu? I don't know. I probably butcher a gnu. Yeah, that's definitely what they're called. So overall, this is a very fun MonsterVerse movie. It's really hard to rank these because most of them are all on the same level for me, and I just have to rank them by enjoyment. And I really enjoy this one, but just not as much as I do the other two.
My number 3 is Kong Skull Island. Now, this is a film that is not meant to be taken seriously, and it is the most lighthearted and fun out of all the MonsterVerse films. It tries to be funny a lot, and I can't say that the jokes made me laugh out loud, but some of them made me chuckle. I think that some of the comedy didn't land perfectly. It was just kind of hit or miss for me. The charisma of the characters and the plot of the film made Kong Skull Island one of the most enjoyable films in the MonsterVerse, and that is what film is meant to be. Film is meant to be entertaining, and Kong Skull Island definitely hits that aspect of film amazingly. There are a lot of crazy and almost funny kills too. I know that kind of sounds bad when I say it out loud, but some of the kills are just so over the top while keeping a PG-13 rating that I laughed at them. Like, you can see this random dude just get, like, one of the skull crawlers just comes down, takes him, and rips him in half above the sun, and I don't know why, I just thought that was really funny. This film also has a fantastic cast, including stars like Tom Hiddleston and Samuel L. Jackson. I also think Brie Larson gave a great performance in this. A lot of people don't like her in this, especially Captain Marvel, but I think that she was really good in this movie, and she definitely redeemed herself, even though this movie came out before Captain Marvel. All the human characters were pretty interesting, honestly, even though some of them didn't really have a purpose for being on the island. But I think that the characters in this film were some of the best in the MonsterVerse, and better than especially the characters in Godzilla King of the Monsters. During the credits, there's also this silent scene involving John C. Reilly's character coming back to, like, his family, and, like, he was crying, they were crying, and I feel like that was just kind of like a castaway moment where his family thinks that he's dead, but then he comes back from this island after, like, a couple years, and then they're really happy and stuff. They kind of took that off of Castaway, but I think that they did it really well in the film, making it like a silent scene in the credits while the credits are rolling beside it. I just thought that was a really nice touch to the film, and it made the ending one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. This isn't my favorite film in the MonsterVerse, but it is just really fun, and Kong in this film is awesome.
My runner-up is actually going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. This is a blast. Now, I was a Godzilla stan. I have opened up my eyes, and I am really glad to see Kong get his time to shine, and I think that was really cool to see him just utterly clap Mechagodzilla. Even though it was teamwork, they couldn't have done it without each other. But I definitely think this film was very fun. It's just dumb fun. It's not super long. I was one of those people who saw a picture that the film was going to be 3 hours long, and I got hyped for that, and then I saw something else saying it was going to be an hour and 54 minutes, and I was like, how are they going to do this? But then I watched it, and I was like, they did it. I even made a little pog face. I was like, but obviously, this is just a great, fun, giant-scale MonsterVerse movie. The action is incredible, probably some of the best in the entire MonsterVerse. Everything is wide shot, so you get to see everything. There's nothing too close. You're not really going to get confused while watching them fight. You get to see everything. You're able to digest it very well. The visuals are beautiful. I'm going to praise these to death, obviously, even though they're already dead, buried 6 feet under the ground. I'm about to resurrect them, praise them to death again, and put them back 6 feet under the ground because they are just beautiful. But yeah, overall, if you haven't checked out this film and you are a big fan of the MonsterVerse movies, What are you doing?
Number 2 is going to go to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Top half of the MonsterVerse, sue me, why don't you? I totally understand why people think the characters in this film are bad and the story's dumb, but if you just don't pay attention to the characters and the plot of this film, you can have a really good time with it, and that's what I had. The cinematography was absolutely phenomenal, and the special effects were flawless, and seriously some of the best I have ever seen in all of film. Those aspects of the film just made this film just so entertaining and made me barely ever take my eyes off of the screen, and everything on a technical level about this film is spectacular. I also think that the blue color palette was pretty easy on my eyeballs, and that also contributed to how enjoyable this film was and how I barely ever wanted to take my eyes off the screen. Thankfully, this film has some more Godzilla than Godzilla 2014, and I think that every scene with Godzilla is exciting because the character Godzilla is just so massive and destructive that every frame of the film that he was on was enjoyable. This doesn't really have anything to do with the actual film, but Godzilla King of the Monsters also has one of my favorite trailers. They played this beautiful version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow during the trailer, and all this slow motion and some really good things in the trailer made me really excited to watch this film. And honestly, Godzilla King of the Monsters did not disappoint. Godzilla King of the Monsters is a pretty underrated film for me, and if you've only seen it once and you just thought that the characters and plot were too dumb for your taste, I encourage you to watch it again with an open mind, because if you go into it knowing what to expect, you can have an amazing time with the film just like me.
But easily, my number 1 spot is actually Godzilla 2014. What's that? I'm adopted? I really like this film. I think the reason why I really, really love this film. It's the most realistic feeling MonsterVerse movie. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, you got all these other monsters coming in from a million other places, and you got humans interacting, and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight with Godzilla. How are you gonna fight with a 400-foot tall lizard and a 3-headed dragon that spits lightning? How are you gonna fight with that? But obviously, they fight with it, and only one main character dies. The plot armor, y'all. I'm telling you, that plot armor is better than Netherite. Kong Skull Island isn't really cheesy at all, really. It's just that I enjoyed Godzilla vs. Kong better. And Godzilla vs. Kong is probably the cheesiest out of all of them. I mean, you got an ape and a lizard going at it, but you gotta love it because it's epic. But this one is definitely the most realistic version of Godzilla, the most realistic version of any MonsterVerse movie. And you wanna know why? Because Godzilla's only in it for 10 minutes. You can't have a realistic monster movie if the monster is in every freaking frame of the film. And I know a lot of you guys hate that, but shut up. It's for the storytelling. You gotta have it like this. Obviously, that's why a lot of people hate it, because they wanted to see Godzilla all the time. They wanted to see him here. They wanted to see him there. They wanted to see him up there. And in King of the Monsters, you get to see him there, you get to see him here, and you even get to see him up there. Like literally. But this one, you get glimpses of him and it builds tension, and I think that was a very brave choice for the director to make. It's very much driven by the human protagonists, and I think that they are a chef's kiss. The best of the best. Out of the MonsterVerse, I mean, not the best out of the best in all of cinema. But I definitely think that Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson are both incredible in the role. And you even got Elizabeth Olsen in it. I mean, we had these big list actors in Godzilla and Kong. But then in these other movies, we got the freaking guy from Christmas Chronicles 2. I mean, who hired this clown? But overall, Godzilla 2014 is my favorite MonsterVerse movie. I hope I didn't anger too many of you. I hope you guys' veins are still intact and I didn't give anybody an aneurysm out there. And if I did, I'm not paying for the hospital bills. Go ahead, go cry me a river or something.
But in first place is the new film Godzilla vs. Kong. So you know how I said the special effects in Godzilla King of the Monsters were flawless? Yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong special effects are even better. I don't know how, but they are. Everything just looks so polished, and my eyes barely ever left the screen. I just love all of the colors they use in this film. They're just so vivid and bright, and even though I love the blue color palette in Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think the colors used in this film were even more attractive because they were just everywhere, from the orange explosions to like some of the blue water and the green in the Skull Island. The action is the best in the MonsterVerse, and I think most of the human characters were utilized pretty well, especially the deaf girl that could actually talk to Kong, known as the Kong Whisperer. It is a really stupid movie, but it's just really fun like all of these films are. Godzilla vs. Kong was everything I wanted and more. It just had so much monster destruction and action, and honestly, I just loved the film. It's nothing, top 50 of all time, not even probably top 100, but it's just an entertaining film, and that is easily the best thing I can say about it.
But overall, Gabriel, thank you so much for having me onto this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I will be on another collab soon, but not for a little while because I've been on like 8 ever since I joined the critic community.
But anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks so much to Jaden from Action Pack Studio 79 for coming on to rank all 4 of the MonsterVerse movies.
Thank you for having me on, Gabriel. Peace.
But until then, stay tuned and subscribe to Cinema Ranks. And also Action Pack Studio 79.